Good afternoon. Is everyone having a good time? That's great. I'm on behalf of Bob Nutter, the president of the hospital. Unfortunately, something came up and he couldn't be here, so he asked me to give his notes, so I'm happy to do that. First of all, welcome to the 27th Annual North Country Women's Health Conference. Hosted by Littleton Regional Healthcare with assistance from North Country Health Consortium. And if anyone from the consortium is here, can they stand up? Okay, I see a few. Annette, hi. And Laura Remick is in the back. How many of you here are requesting CEUs? Okay. After this portion of the conference, Laura will be at the registration table down in the conference center, and she'd like you to stop by to pick up paperwork so that she can process those continuing education credits. Okay? The other thing I just want to say really quick is on your table there should be an evaluation, and the only way that we can improve this conference every year is by you providing feedback to us on what you'd like every year, and we take the information that we gather, and that's how we decide what we select for breakout speakers and for activities. So please take a minute to fill out your evaluation, and after this session, someone will pick those up. Okay? Thank you very much. So, happy Mother's Day to everyone. I'd like to just have a show of hands. How many mothers do we have here? Awesome. Happy Mother's Day. How many grandmothers do we have? Wow. Okay. How many great-grandmothers? Yay. How many expectant mothers? Yay! Congratulations. All right, so we are in the most beautiful setting that I can think of. I don't know about you, but I really appreciate having the Omni in our backyard to host events like this. There's no other place that measures up other than the Omni. And I just want to thank a couple people. We have Jackie Goodhart here, who I have worked with for a number of years. She's in charge of sales. And her and I, probably 9 years ago, came up with the idea of doing this around Mother's Day so that it wasn't really in mud season, but not too heavy into the wedding season. And the event has really grown by adding Sunday night events and having people spend the night. So it's been a lot of fun. So thank you, Jackie. And if Hunter is in the room, I bet he's not. Hunter is the person here at the Omni who, every time I send him an email, he responds instantly. And he's just amazing to work with. And I'm really sorry he's not here to hear the kudos. But anyway, kudos to Hunter. I'm yes, give him a round. And then I also want to thank Laura Remick and Diana Gibbs from the consortium because they take care of all the continuing education credits that many of you request every year. And like I said, if you have requested them, make sure you see Laura before the end of the day. So we work very hard to keep this conference affordable. And the only way that we can do that is with support from several sponsors. There's probably not a lot of sponsors here today, but if you are a sponsor of this event, Would you just take a moment to stand so that we can recognize your generosity? There probably isn't a lot. Well, yes, you're a sponsor. Yeah, that's right. Yep. And the group up here is the auxiliary. I haven't gotten to them yet, but they sponsor the event in many, many ways, including financially, so thank you. So I do want to mention the sponsors today, and let me just take a drink of water, otherwise I'll never get through this. Bob put me right on the spot today. So the major event sponsors are A.G. Gallagher, Guardian Life Insurance Company, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, Lincoln Financial Group, and I thought they were here, but maybe they didn't come up for lunch. The LRH Auxiliary, who in addition to giving financially, they're here, they work at the event, they work before the event, and they help out tremendously. New England Delta Dental, Omni Mount Washington Resort, Pioneer Investments, Sageview Advisory Group, Bank of New Hampshire, Garnet Hill, Mascoma Savings Bank, Passumpsic Savings Bank, Sean Tracy Associates, Secure Network Services, Super Shoes, VSP Vision Care, WB Mason, Woodsville Guarantee Savings Bank, Advanced Graphics Communication, and Lakes Region Coca-Cola. So again, please join me in thanking our today's sponsors. And if you don't mind, I'm going to take a drink of water, otherwise I won't get through this. So today we have 36 vendors here downstairs in the conference center. And they make the event nice because not only do they offer screenings and health-related information, but some of them offer a nice shopping experience. So it's kind of fun. Make sure you take time to go down and visit them because they spend the entire day here to make the conference better. We have 20 speakers here with us today, and I want to take a minute to thank all of them for their time and expertise. So please join me in thanking the speakers. In looking out in the crowd, I don't think there's too many speakers here, but if you are a speaker, would you stand up? There are a few. Okay. Volunteers, an event like this requires a tremendous amount of assistance. There is one volunteer that I would ask to stand up, and her name is Anna Ryu. Anna is with the hospital auxiliary, and all the auxiliary members are right here in the front. But Anna comes in, probably a couple times a week, just to make sure that all of the information, the registration information is okay, and she takes time out of her own schedule and helps out tremendously. And then she's here today, along with, we have Sandy Lozo, we have Lori Morgan, we have Candy Black, we have Rachel Sanborn. You want to stand up for a minute? And Maggie Starr, who is downstairs watching everything. Thank you, ladies. So then there's someone else I'd like to thank, too, for today. You know, an event like this takes a lot of detail and work in the background, and I want Caitlin Murray to come up for a minute. I'm making her turn red.
Thank you. since Gail brought me up here, I want to thank her in return because she's been such a great mentor, and I just love this event so much. So thank you all for coming and having a great day with us.
Okay, so some fun facts. Thank you, Caitlin. Some fun facts. Let's see. In 2002, a little more than 125 women attended the conference. In 2005, 200 women attended. Last year, we had 330 women attend, and this year, we're up around 360. So keep spreading the word, because that's how it grows. If you tell your friend that it's a great conference, maybe next year they'll come. So a couple of housekeeping notes. Everyone should have gotten a certificate of attendance in their packet this morning. If you need a certificate with the price that you paid, if you need a receipt, just let us know. We'll be happy to supply that. I already mentioned the CEUs. I hope that you've taken advantage of the health screenings that are taking place in the Washington boardroom. We have glucose, cholesterol, blood pressure. Is Ann Connor here? Stand up, Ann. Ann is doing heart risk assessments, and that's a new thing. So if you haven't had a chance, stop by and see her. Excuse me. We also have Reiki and chair massages in the Washington boardroom, so take advantage of that before the day is over. Let's see what else. Oh, this is a good part. Everyone last night that was here last night for the night, you are automatically entered into a raffle. And I just want to know if Monica Nix is here. Is Monica here in the room? No? Oh, that's too bad. Well, that's too bad because Monica won an overnight stay to the Omni and dinner for two, so. But there are other raffles. There are other raffles that at the end of the day, make sure you stop by the registration desk because we, of course, have our healthy chocolate chip cookies for everyone to take home, and just check to see if you've won any raffle prizes. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Kelly Swanson. Kelly is an award-winning storyteller, a comedian, a motivational speaker, author of Who Hijacked My Fairy Tale, and cast member of the Fashion Hero TV show. She loves making you laugh, and she does a very good job at it. She loves to help you see beyond your obstacles and help you tap into the power of your story. Please welcome Kelly Swanson. Thank you. You're so cute.
Look at all these people staring at you. Some of them looking at you like, oh Lord, where'd they find her? Who let the drag queen in? They're probably looking at you thinking, oh, motivational speaker. I thought she'd be skinnier. Yeah, so did I. According to my New Year's resolution at this point, I was supposed to have lost 30 pounds and have buff arms. Instead, I'm pretty sure my muffin top just had twins. I guess I'll always struggle with my weight. Of course, my husband says when I say struggle, that implies I'm working at it. It's a shame he went missing. I'm struggling to find him. They're probably thinking, oh, motivational speaker, she's probably happy all the time, talking about gratitude and joy. I'm not happy all the time. Now, my husband, bless him, he's been in one mood for 50 years. I've been in 50 moods since I started this sentence. I think I just had another one. All these smart people doing all these great things. I'm not smart. I mean, shoot. My husband lays awake at night pondering the mysteries of the universe. I lay awake at night wondering what happens to their tattoos when big people lose weight. Mysteries like, how is it that when my husband goes to bed, he wakes up looking exactly like he did when he went to sleep? And I wake up looking like I've been attacked by a flock of homing pigeons in a wind tunnel. It's kind of scary being up here, hearts hammering, wondering, what if it's not good enough? What if they don't like it? What if I'm weird here, just like I'm weird everywhere else I go? The loud one in the room who doesn't quite fit. What if it's just not good enough? What if they don't like it? No, don't do that, Kelly. Come on, rein it in. Tap it out, tap it out. Don't you stand up here and write a story that says you failed before you've even started. Come on. Give yourself a little bit more credit. Give them a little bit more credit. Don't doubt the spirit that dwells inside of you. Come on. This might be your only opportunity to do what you know you were born to do. Don't waste it because you're worried it won't be good enough, or you're worried that they won't like it. Come on, you know every success and every victory in your life has started with a moment like this. A quiet moment where you look in the mirror and you decide to choose how you're going to see yourself and your world and your situation. And you know the story you write becomes the life that you live. And if you can't look in the mirror and see a woman of value, a woman of worth, if you can't look in the mirror and see the ability you have to impact and influence wherever you are, if you can't look in the mirror and see that, then neither will they. So why don't you write a different story? Why don't you stand up here and says, if one person walks out of here a little taller than when they came in, a little stronger, a little braver, if one person walks out of here and says, I laughed so hard I peed. You'll be just fine with that. Because this is not about you. It never was. This isn't a chance for you to get up here and show them what you can do. No, this is a chance for you to show them what they can do. So keep it in perspective. If they want to change their lives, then they can change their story at any moment. And you're the one that's going to remind them. Is that another hair growing out of my chin? If I get another one, I can braid them. Come on, Callie, now smile and enjoy the moment. Because this is going to be great. To be here with you today. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I want to ask you an important question. I want to ask you, what is that story running through your head? Who do you see when you look in the mirror? And do you realize that you get to write that story? Not me, but you. So it's my wish, it's my hope, it's my prayer that if anything else, you walk out of those doors and from here on out, you choose to love who you see. Because I believe what blocks us from getting from where we are to where we want to be starts and ends with who we see when we look in the mirror. I'm not here today to help you see what to change. It's not my job. I'm here to help you change what you see. Yeah. You're going to figure out pretty quick, maybe you already have, that I'm about a hair's breadth away from crazy. You won't be the first. My friends all think I'm crazy. Sometimes I speak in the prisons. They think that's weird. They're like, Kelly, you're not prepared to do that. You're not qualified. Are you crazy? I'm like, I am too prepared. I watched Johnny Cash's Walk the Line. I'm ready. I said, so yeah, call me crazy. I don't care. But I'm also called. And I go where I'm called. Even if my heart's hammering and even if I feel that it's not going to be good enough or that there could have been somebody better, I go where I'm called. And I hope you go into your lives and your jobs and your communities with that same conviction, knowing you were called to that moment and the power you have to make a difference in somebody's life. I can't promise you to share a lot of grand wisdom today. Look at me as your trip to the shallow end of the pool. I'm just here to share my story. And maybe in a way, you'll recognize pieces of it. And somehow maybe I'll step into yours. I'm just saying. So in case you can't tell from my accent, I'm from Jersey. Nice, right? No, I'm from Georgia originally, born and raised up there for the most part. I still got people down there in Smyrna, Atlanta, Marietta, Cell Block D. Then I shamed them all and I moved up north to High Point, North Carolina. I come from a place where we're known for our grits, for our hospitality, and for our spray-painted marriage proposals. Where you can go 3 cornrows past the water tower and see where Billy Ray Bob climbed late one hour and he sprayed in red, "Will you marry me, Heather?" Where I come from, apparently it's okay to be kissing your cousin. I'm just saying, I went to a wedding where one of my cousins married the other one. I didn't know which side of the church to sit on. Where I come from, you can say anything about anybody as long as you started off by saying, "Well, you know I don't mean to be ugly." And then you throw in a couple of, "Well, I'm just saying." And when you're through, you wrap it up with 3 little words. And I wonder if anybody in here knows what those 3 little words are. Yes, you are my people. You know, they don't say that everywhere, though. I'll ask them that in Wisconsin, and I'll hear crickets. Which baffles me, because it doesn't even seem that they have an expression that'll take its place. I'm like, well, how do y'all talk about people? And usually I have to give them an illustration of exactly how it's done. Not where you live, of course, mind you, but where I live. And it usually starts with 2 or 3 little ladies standing on the side of the road surveying the situation. And they'll start by giving you what I call the nonverbal bless your heart. I get that all the time. Everywhere I go, people look at me, they'll be like, I'm like, I see you. I'm on the elevator. I'm a foot away. I'm like, I see you. You know what's fun to do on an elevator? I'm getting distracted. Pretty bird. Remind me I'm on Bless Your Heart. When you're on an elevator, you want to have a little fun in your life, shake things up, then you got to go do this. When there's an elevator and there's only one person on it, what do you do when you get on the elevator? Where do you stand? Opposite corner. I mean, it's like written down somewhere. I love to get on an elevator, only one person in that corner, looking all uptight, not making eye contact. Go get in his corner. Stand right beside him. It'll freak him out. Especially if you're holding a copy of Shades of Grey, which I haven't read, but apparently you have. And if the elevator's full, I want you to be the last one on there. You let that elevator fill up. You get on there, you let the doors close behind you, and you put your arms out there and you say, "The reason I've gathered you here today." I just don't ever know what to say after that. So if you got a good line for me, I'd appreciate it. But pretty bird, okay, focus. Two, three little old ladies standing on the side of the road. One turns to the other and says, "Is that Mildred Jenkins out yonder?" Mm-hmm. Well, now, you know, I don't mean to be ugly, but get a load of that rear end. Well, I'm just saying, if that thing gets any bigger to sit down, she's going to need landing gear. Looks like her hips are in parentheses. Bless her heart. Right? It's what we do. Don't they do it in Kentucky? They do it there too. I'm just saying. And I can talk about being plus size because in case you're in the back, I'm a little bit fluffy. I'm usually twice this size, but I got on a pair of them suck me in skivvies. Those are miracles. I mean, they'll take off an entire size. I just got one question. That whole extra size it makes you lose, where does it go? I can't figure out where they put it. Only thing I can figure is when it finally breaks free, it's gonna get there fast. Ain't nothing holding that in, baby. Hope y'all got good insurance right up here. I tried to put a bikini on a couple of summers ago. Lord, those days are over. Well, like I ever had those days. I couldn't even get my stomach tucked in all the way around it. Kept popping out like canned biscuits. I apologize for that image. And how long it's gonna stick with you. I walked into Victoria's Secret. I said, "How come y'all don't have any plus sizes in here?" She said, "Honey, when they get to your size, it ain't no secret." I'm just saying. And since we're all women here, I mean, I've already opened the door, but I mean, I'd just be, you know, it's probably too oversharing. but I'm kind of an oversharer. I admit a lot of stuff. Like, there's not a body part on me haven't been tucked, sucked, plucked, tweezed, shifted, or lifted at one point or another. No, these are real. Because who's going to buy a set like this? Nobody's going to walk in the boob doctor and say, "Oh, no, I don't want the Marilyn Monroe version. I would like the kind like Kelly Swanson's that looks like 2 tube socks with a handful of change hanging at the bottom." I mean, you opened the door talking about gravity. What was I supposed to do? I remember I used to walk in a room, these would be the first things in there. They'd be like, "Hi, we're here." Now I walk in a room, they're like, all right, we're coming already. Cut us some slack, we're dragging the ground. Of course we're in a bad mood. You try spending all night sleeping under your arms. Yesterday, you shut us in the desk drawer. And you can forget about running. You remember what happened at the beach? Blackened both your eyes and took out a toddler. And you don't need to buy one of those push-up bras, honey, either. You push us up, you ain't gonna be able to see to drive. Why don't we take a swim at the Y? It's been a while since we floated. Too much? I told him that for the first time at a, get this, Southern Baptist Women's Convention. I mean, you got to give them somebody to pray for, right? I mean, there was like 900 women, and the average age was about 400. And the average hair color was blue. And I got through, and there was an aisle running right down the middle. And everybody goes to take a break, and I'm standing there getting ready to walk off, and here comes this lady. She's pushing her walker, so she's moving a little slow, and she's got that look that I see all the time at church. It's that look that says, don't you go anywhere. So I'm standing there waiting for her to come up. My heart's hammering. She gets right up to the stage. She's like, I lean down. She said, that boob bit you just did? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, that was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. She said, I can't remember the last time I laughed that hard. She said, thank you. And she said, just so you know, I got to roll mine up to put mine in. She said, you can add that in your acts. And then sweet little Beulah, she just turned around and shuffled off and tripped over her boob. I'm just teasing about that part. So yeah, I come from a long line of women who did exactly what was expected of them. Your whole world could be falling apart, but you were fine as long as your purse matched your shoes. As long as you put on the face and lived out the story that had been written for you. Don't make any waves. Smile. Don't air your dirty laundry. Follow the rules. Put on the face and say, I'm fine. And I was the kid who didn't follow the rules. And my life didn't go according to the fairy tale I was supposed to live into. I didn't look like some princess in these fairy tales with the ball gowns and the bluebirds gathering over her head. Do you know who I looked like in high school? I looked like androgynous Pat from Saturday Night Live. Oh, if you don't believe me, I got pictures on Facebook. I can prove it. I was the picked on kid growing up. I was the one who had no friends, no group to claim me. Even the loser group didn't claim me. I was the kid you threw things at on the bus. And most days, oddly enough, I prayed not to be noticed. Just let me be invisible. Because if they noticed you, you were dead. And I'm not saying that to get your sympathy. No, not a bit, because I am so over it. And even though I would not want to go back and live all those years again, I have to say, had it not been for all those years, I'm not sure I would be standing here today. Strong, brave, courageous, because it was those scars that made me beautiful. That gave me the eyes of compassion for the people who feel like they don't fit, the people who feel like they don't belong, the people who feel like they aren't good enough. And if you think it's just children, you're wrong. Somebody here today doesn't feel good enough, doesn't feel worthy, doesn't feel like they matter or that they make a difference. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to sound even weirder than I have up until this point. I know that I'm standing here today in this moment for a reason. And I have been sent to give you a message. I don't know exactly what it is. And I don't know exactly when you'll get it. Maybe it'll take a day or two. But I know I've been sent here to whisper something in your ear. And I just hope you listen. And I hope you Believe it. Especially those of you who are in the potholes in the yellow brick road of life. If you're not in a pothole right now, be thankful, be grateful, because it's coming. You're like, wow, great motivational speaker. Telling us when God closes the door, he opens a window so we can jump. No, but some of us are in that pothole. It doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. It's a part of life. And you're standing there in that pothole, and whatever has happened to you or around you, and you're desperately trying to catch your breath and breathe. And the whole world is spinning around you, and you're not sure how you're going to get around this or through this. Then maybe I was sent to bring you one tiny message in this moment. And so listen close when I say this, because it comes from something bigger than me. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. You're going to come out a lot stronger than when you went in. You are not alone. Look around. You're not alone. There's always somebody very close by with a hand outstretched. And it doesn't mean you're weak to ask for help. In fact, it just might be the strongest thing you ever do. And I have it on pretty good authority that one day this too shall pass. So back to me. I have one son. He's precious. He's out in the car if you want to go take a peek. I remember I was tucking him into bed when he was little. It had been one of those long mommy days. And we'd gone through the bedtime stories and the glasses of water and trips to the bathroom and then more bedtime stories, and then a bedtime prayer would have made Moses proud. And I'm exhausted. I'm ready to just flip that switch. And I could hear my best friend calling me from the kitchen. Her name's Chardonnay. She's a good friend. Always there. She's friends with my mama first. She's the reason I had kids. And she's so nice because she's the one who always tells me, Kelly, you look good when you dance. But you don't want to be single and hang out with Chardonnay. I'm just saying, she's a pretty good wingman, but she does not have good taste in men. So I'm ready to flip the switch, and my son calls out, Mom, why do zebras have stripes? So I don't know. I answered his question best I could. I said, son, zebras have stripes so they'll blend into the pack. He said, Mom, it's not called a pack. Dad says it's called a herd. I said, be quiet. I'm the speaker. I'm telling this story. I said, zebras have stripes so they'll blend. I said, you don't want to be the pink zebra, for instance, because if you're the pink zebra in the pack, then that lion coming out of the woods on the Nature Channel, he's going to find you first and rip you limb to limb. Yeah, note to self, not a good bedtime story. But I can relate, because in a sea of black and white zebras, I've always been the one who was pink. The one who always did something different, the one who always stuck out, the one who wouldn't play by the rules, the one who doesn't always like to play it safe, the one who doesn't always like to be good. I'm the pink zebra, and maybe you are too. But when I was a kid and I would look in that mirror, in my earliest memory, I remember loving who I saw. The pigtails that would go out in right angles and the ribbons made out of rickrack. Remember rickrack? And I remember I loved the gap between my teeth, and I loved the freckles and how if you connected the dots, you could spell the word sun. When I looked in the mirror, I could see anything, be anything, do anything. I was invincible. And then I looked around and I saw the others, and they were different. They were pretty, they were popular. They had things that I didn't have. And suddenly I began to see that maybe being different was bad. And I began to try to cover up my pink and be like the others and have what they have and do what they do and live up to the women on TV and in movies who I thought were the example of who I was supposed to be and who I never, ever could compare to. I thought that to be happy came when you blended. That was a painful lesson. After a while, it got exhausting. I mean, it's easy to cut your hair like they do or try to get the same car or live in the same neighborhood, but every victory was hollow because I wasn't getting what I wanted. I was getting what I think or I thought you wanted me to be. Hold my call. Tell him I'll be down later. I'll meet him in the cave. So there were empty victories. And I spent much of my whole life just trying to be what I thought others wanted me to be. And my decision, it was the storyline running through my head. And so maybe if there's any message you get from today, it's to embrace what makes you pink. To embrace what makes you different. And to see that when you just try to blend in, that's all we create is a chorus line of same, of normal. Nobody notices normal. You can't influence and impact because every single one of us in this room has the power to impact others. If you're still here, you're not done yet. And we can't be a light if we're too busy trying to blend. We can't share our truth to the next generation if we're too busy trying to be like all the others. I'm just saying. Be pink. So because I didn't have any friends or this group that would claim me, I would create my own on paper. I created this whole town of characters, these delicious characters. I loved to read. I loved books. Here I found refuge. And in writing, I found refuge. And these people, they would talk to me all at once. I'll be okay. And you won't get to meet the people in my town of Pride's Hollow yet because I buried them. Because I grew up and thought they were too different. It was too weird and nobody wanted that. And I buried them, but I've dug them back up. And I've dusted them off. And Bitsy and Crazy Man Harry and Merlene, Verlene, and Shirlene's House of Beauty, they are all excited because they're going to be making an appearance next year. Because the clock's ticking and it's time to do things my way. But because I was this kid that didn't really have anybody to hang out with, I just wrote these stories, simple stories about ordinary people and the extraordinary things I saw in them. And I would just tell them at family reunions. People would say, Kelly, get up, tell a story. Or at least that's what I heard. It was more like, oh, Lord, she's going to tell a story. Get a drink. This is going to take a while. Bless her heart. See, you got it. That is exactly the perfect way to use it. I didn't think I would do anything with it. It was a hobby. It wasn't even a hobby. I didn't even take it that seriously. I wasn't good at it. I wasn't. Teachers didn't tell me I was great. Nobody affirmed it. It was just something I loved to do. And that's the weird thing about our gifts. We're so inside our own lives, our own movies, that we don't see how beautiful our gifts are because they feel so easy to us. And so when someone comes along, because they will come along and they will whisper in your ear, and it's a divine appointment, don't question it, and they will tell you what your gift is. They will affirm it. When they do, listen, believe it. Don't shake it off. Honor it, because they can see something in you you might not be able to see in yourself. They believe in you. I believe in you, and I've just met you. So honor your gifts. Everybody has one, more than one. You're already using them. You just may not realize how beautiful they are. So it was my husband who first came along. My husband didn't come. I thought I would never get married. I just figured, who's going to marry me? And he came along much later in life, and nothing like the order I'd put in for him. But he turned out even better. Because sometimes you don't get what you wish for. Sometimes you get something even better. So if you're wishing and you're waiting and you're hoping, have a little faith. Because if it hadn't come yet, it just might mean that a door's being opened to bring you something even better. And maybe you can believe if you change the story in your head. Maybe you'll believe like I do that the best is yet to come, not behind you. Now, let's don't write that story, because when we write that story, our brain obeys that story. It doesn't know the difference. What we think, the story we write about ourselves, dictates our actions, our attitudes, our behaviors. That's what that tapping process is all about. It's reprogramming those negative thoughts about yourself and replacing them. Sorry, a little burp worked up there. So my husband and I are at that point of the fairy tale they never told you about in the Disney movies. We're in that next chapter where the honeymoon is ended, real life is set in, and suddenly you're getting a good idea of what forever's gonna feel like. Where the all-night hanky-panky turns into, come on, babe, we got 5 minutes before Law and Order starts. Where you go from thinking how cute it is when he drools in his sleep to, dear Lord, please forgive me. But if that man's nose whistles when he eats a sandwich one more time, I'm gonna claw my eyes out. Now, I'll tell you, I married a man who's about a hair's breadth away from being a saint. He got the short end of the stick. I married up. He's a good man, a man of character, a man who does the right thing even when nobody's watching. So don't hear me say anything otherwise. But I actually turned to this charming prince the other night and I said, sweetie pie, would you please stop making that breathing noise? He's like, seriously? He said, now you got a problem with the way I breathe? I said, well, I'm just saying. I said, I can't help it that nothing I do ever bothers you. Yeah, that's what he did. He's like, seriously? He said, did it ever occur to you that you might do a lot of things that bother me and I just don't feel the need to point them out? No. My husband has 2 words, which were my mantra for last year. Motivational speakers, we do weird things like have monthly mantras or words. And they were my words for last year. They're my words for this year. 2 simple words that on the outside don't look like anything fancy. You can say anything to my husband. You can tell him anything. And all he'll do is go, so what? So what? Those 2 words have a lot of power. So much I put them on a sticky note. I put them on my computer. I put them on my mirror. Now I'm going to put one beside it that says flick. So that when somebody does something I don't like, or when there's an opportunity that comes along and I don't get that opportunity, or when somebody hurts my feelings or I feel anxious or bitter or whatever it is, I think of those 2 words and I go, so what? And I cannot explain to you what power those 2 words have. I don't even know why or how it works. But I sure do feel better when I say them. Because they let me get away from that anxious feeling quicker. So what? So anyway, my husband was the first one who said, honey, you have a gift. You can do something other people cannot do. They'll pay you for it. And so even though I was scared to death and I thought that's the weirdest thing in the whole world, I decided to believe him. All it took was one person. So many people in our lives telling us, you can't do this. No, don't do that. Women don't do that. You're going to write a book. What do you have to say? Who's ever going to come pay you to speak? All these people saying no. All it takes is one person who says, yes, you can. I just needed one. And he said, yes, maybe I'm your voice for you today, and you'll believe me when I whisper in your ear and say, yes, you can. Why not you? Why not now? And so I quit my job, and I became a professional, wait for it, storyteller. I know that's weird. You can think it. People are like, how did you do that? How did you become a motivational speaker and a comedian? I said, I went to the Staples and got me those business cards and I typed it on in. I think tomorrow I'll be a life coach. Now, I'm just kind of joking because no, we can't go do that in most of our jobs. I mean, come on. But I'm being symbolic here because sometimes when you have a dream or something that you want to do, you need to go get that card and just type it on in. And stop waiting for permission or for somebody to tell you it's good enough because you'll be waiting forever. Just do it. Why not you? Why not now? What have you got to lose? So they may laugh. So what? Yeah, they might. So yeah, I would go to networking events. I would park on the other side of the parking lot because I was afraid for them to see my car. I was embarrassed. They had on suits. They looked so fancy. Here I am, this little redneck storyteller, bebopping in the room, people passing around cards. I'm VP of the bank. I sell copiers. What do you do? I was like, I'm a professional storyteller. I tell stories for a living. They looked at me like they weren't sure whether to congratulate me or pet me. Oh. I remember telling my daddy, I said, Daddy, I'm quitting my job in the family business. I said, Daddy, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go tell stories for a living. And he's a loving man. He didn't say anything negative, but I could see him clenching his jaw and crunching the numbers he'd spent on my education. And he got that look that said, bless your heart. You're an idiot. And just between you and me and the fence post, he hadn't taken that look off yet. But that's okay, because I'm not here to please the world. And if I listened to every person who said this was silly, then I would not be here today meeting you. So yeah, say something. I'm just saying. My mama says, I don't know what to tell people you do. I'm like, seriously? I got a sister who has an aerial view of Graceland tattooed on her back. My brother for years thought that bin Laden was posing as his shift supervisor over at the Golden Corral. And I'm your disappointment? But now looking back, wow, hindsight is 20/20. Now looking back, it makes so much sense. The gift I was sitting on, the power of words, the power of story, our ability to lift people up or crush them in a matter of moments. Our words have great power. Great things have been done, are being done, and will continue to be done by people who just have the courage to stand up and use their words. I have seen lives being changed because of something somebody said. One moment when a teacher stepped in and just doing her job said something they never forgot that broke through the noise and the dark. The power of our words. And if those words are negative and they're self-sabotaging you and you're walking around with these phrases and these beliefs that are standing in your way, then I hope you will become aware and work to rewrite them. I'll give you a link at the end, kellysfreegift.com. And in that link are some resources that will walk you in detail through every 6 step to rewrite your inner script, if that's what you struggle with. But today, I just wanted to focus on telling you stories and making you laugh and making you feel good. So you can go in to all the resources and do some more homework later. So yeah, it's not glamorous being a storyteller, in case you're wondering. For years, I got paid in things like chicken. Sweet tea and chicken. I didn't get to stay in these fancy hotels. I'd stay in the Motel 6s after they washed the evidence off the walls. I once stayed in a room that still had that yellow body tape outline on the floor. I paid the maid $5 to take a picture of me laying in it. I sent it home to my mama with a note saying, won't be home for Christmas. She didn't think that was very funny. So I remember back then, my first market that I worked in, okay, the first client, okay, my only client was the nursing home. And I would go, they asked me to go to the nursing home on Tuesday afternoons. They wanted me to come every Tuesday. It was like a multiple booking. And they were going to pay me $50 every week. I was so excited, I would have framed that first check if I didn't need it to invest back in my business. And so every Tuesday afternoon, I told them, I said, I don't know if I can come back every week. I only have, this is like 20 years ago, I only have 1 or 2 stories. They said, this is the Alzheimer's ward. You'll be fine. So every Tuesday, I'd go into the recreation room over at Sunnyside Hills. And I thought that was an odd name for a room, had very little recreation in it. It was hot in those rooms. It was like 400 degrees hot, and everybody still had on sweaters. I remember the furniture, 50 shades of mauve, shrink wrapped under disgruntled plastic. And I remembered thinking at that time how the residents looked as if they had been propped around the room in various degrees of posture, consciousness, and incontinence. And I remembered thinking to myself that they looked like wilted flowers. I used to bring my keyboard with me. I also play the piano, another story, but I would bring my keyboard with me because I quickly realized if the stories didn't connect, the music would. And that the tiniest hint of a melody would pull them in to a memory. And I would get this delicious, humbling front row honor in watching all these wilted flowers come to life. For all they needed was a drink of water. We can see our jobs as just a job, as our duties or our obligations as just things we're supposed to do or have to do, or a means to an end, or hours to fill our day, or we can see our roles as this divine opportunity to be someone else's drink of water. And I promise you, if you change the way you see what you do, if you attach it to a bigger why, it will change everything, and your work will not feel so much like work. I remember right up front, every Tuesday sat Ethel P. Waters in her purple velour jumpsuit and matching overly zealous eyeshadow. Ethel loved Tuesdays, not so much for the stories, but she liked the music. Oh, she loved to sing and dance and clap, and she would bounce up and down, and she'd get so into it that can't you just see that white hair floating around her head like cotton candy around the stick at the fair. She would sing and she would clap and she would bounce, and as she was doing so, that oversized gnarled thumb of hers that had knitted a chain of baby blankets from coast to coast would get caught at that silver ring at the top of the zipper on her jumpsuit. And she'd start to sing and dance and clap, and she'd start to take that zipper with her, proving to everybody within vision, not clouded by cataracts, that Ethel P. Waters was not a fan of undergarments. Giving us all a bird's eye view of that tattoo she'd had put on her chest that in the day was a rose bush. But now, it's more like a hanging basket. There's just some things you can't unsee. Every Tuesday, she'd wait for me to say, Ethel, what song do you want to hear? And I'd pray she'd pick a different song. But no, every week she picked the same song, which I thought was amazing, because most days, Ethel did not even know her own name. She didn't know what day it was. She didn't know her own kin from somebody else's. But every Tuesday, Ethel picked the same song. And she would never forget the words. And she would always come in at the exact, perfect, right moment to sing her solo on the Tuesday afternoons, Sunnyside Hills concerts. And I'd say, Ethel, are you ready? And she'd nod. And I'd cue her up. And I'd say, okay, Ethel, take it away. And in a gravelly old voice, she would begin to sing. You gotta give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the glory of, that's the story of love. And we'd say, yay, Ethel. She was my number one fan. She was my first customer. She was the first person who taught me wisdom and a lesson about what I was doing, that it wasn't about me, that it's not about the story I tell, that it's about your story. She taught me the power of connection. And that matters more in this world than we can ever know. So Ethel was my number one fan, but not Ruth, who sat in the back in her faded house dress and matching expression. Ruth did not have time for me. You see, she had eyes only for Teddy, who came on Thursdays. Teddy, in his torn jeans, his faded Grateful Dead t-shirt, that old welcome back Cotter mustache. He had this guitar case with these, it was all beat up. It had stickers on it to places I'd never heard of. I mean, mind you, I was just here for the exposure. A dropping off point, if you will. But I was pretty sure for Teddy, this was his destination. But Ruth loved him every week. And sometimes when I least expect it, I can hear him strumming her favorite song that I got so tired of hearing. And yet every time I hear it, I can't help but think I'm supposed to. Because what is music? What are songs? But ways to reprogram our brain. Ways to rethink. So now every time I hear that song, sing a song. Remember that one? Sing out loud. Sing out strong. Sing of good things, not bad. Sing out happy, not sad. And my favorite lines were the last ones. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing. Sing your song. Da 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 da. It's a good part. I know. It didn't bring me in to sing. Eventually, I walked away from that job onto bigger and brighter opportunities, and I forgot all about those people. Until I ran into the woman in the grocery store who used to book me for those gigs. And so in between the avocado and the shaved ham, we caught up and compared notes. Got around to asking about everybody. Got around to asking about Ruth. She said, Ruth, I said, how is she? She said, well, Ruth passed. She said, we had her service actually this week. I said, oh, was it nice? She said, oh, yeah, it was. She would have loved it. She said, Teddy was there. Teddy was there. She goes, yeah, he played her favorite song. I said, oh, that's nice. I said, that's going above and beyond the job description. Wasn't even a Thursday. She said, well, of course he'd be there. She said, you didn't know Teddy was her son. She just didn't know it. And I'm standing there in that grocery store having a moment where any dream or wish or prayer that my son would become president or a teacher or CEO, that all disappeared into one dream, one vision. that my family would become like the Teddies of the world. A guy in torn jeans and a welcome back Cotter mustache who used his gift to be somebody else's. Shame on me, I didn't have the spotlight. Teddy had the true spotlight. That's the glory of. That's the story of love. It may sound fluffy, but can you imagine a world where everybody looked through the eyes of what they do in terms of using their own gift to be somebody else's? So back to me. People always ask me, you're the motivational speaker. How do you get out of the potholes in the yellow brick road of life? I don't have all the answers. I don't even know if I'm asking all the right questions. I have 4 words that ground me every time. See, believe, do, and trust. It's not fancy, but whenever I get derailed, it's in one or more of those areas. Number 1, see. See where it is that you're going. You can't get the life you want, the business you want, the health you want. You can't see what it is if you haven't defined it. If you haven't stopped and taken a look and be aware of what the problem is. See what you can control and what you can't, and those things that you cannot control, get them away from you as fast as possible, because the only thing we can control in our life is us. And stress is not what is happening to us. Stress is how we choose to react to what is happening to us. It is in direct correlation with the story we are feeding our brain, whether we send our bodies into fight or flight mode on a daily basis. And just take it from me, I don't have time to go into it. I'm sure you're getting a lot of those messages today. But if you don't take care of yourself, I know I'm not the poster child for women's health. I'm more like the cautionary tale. So let me be your cautionary tale, that if you don't take care of yourself, and I know this to be true, your body will stop you and it will shut you down. Take my word for it. That we can't take, I know we've heard this till we're blue in the face, but it's true. You cannot take care of everybody else out there in that world if we can't first stop and take care of ourselves. And I'm not going to give you all the health advice you need. I'm just going to give you the advice that starts with what you say about yourself when you look in the mirror, because it does have an impact over your health. I promise. So I see, I believe. And that's a hard one. It's hard when you've been told your whole life, you're silly, you're stupid, you don't matter, you don't belong, whatever that script you're carrying around. It's hard to change that. You're not going to walk out of that door and do it in a moment. It takes a long time to reprogram it, because often we let our emotions drive the car. We let our emotions dictate the actions we take. We think that what we feel is what is true, and that's not true. Truth trumps emotions. Emotions, we need them. Let's honor them. They're our check engine light. Emotions are a great gauge for what is going on in here, but they make an awful guide. Just because you feel it does not mean it's true. We've got to put the emotions in the back seat and put truth up front and let truth drive the car. That resource online, kellysfreegift.com, will have you more information on how to do that. So I see, and we learn about courage in the weirdest of places. Mine came full circle at a networking event. I had bought this ticket to go to this event. It was an important event. Big speakers. There were going to be agents. That one look could change your life forever. I just knew this is my moment. And it was going to be my big break, because I was still operating under the mistaken assumption that life gives you big breaks. It doesn't. You work for it. But still, I was going to go to this networking event, and I needed the perfect outfit. So I get on the internet, and judging by my appearance, it probably makes sense to you that I would order a pair of bright silver sequined palazzo pants. I know what you're thinking. That's a lot of sequins. It's like bedazzling a walrus. But all I got to say, honey, if you're going to make them in my size, don't be judging me for wearing them. So they come in, I try them on, they fit perfectly. Well, they only went halfway up the back, but that's okay, because they were low rise. And I decided I didn't want to drive. The event was driving distance. I was going to wait and get to the hotel before I put them on because I didn't want to mess them up. I mean, we're talking about hundreds and thousands of sequins, top to bottom, all around the whole thing. I mean, I look good. So I'm in the bathroom outside of the lobby waiting to go in. And I changed. I was in there by myself. I looked in the mirror. I was kind of pumping myself up, singing my theme song, "You're gonna hear me roar." And I start to take a step out of that door, ready to step into my future. And I take a step and I hear this noise. It was like a I thought maybe it was the pipes. I didn't see anybody under their stalls. I didn't know what it was, but it stopped. So I took another step. Now, you're probably starting to figure it out, but it took one more step before I finally realized where that noise was coming from. It was coming from my thighs. Every step I took, all those sequins, what are they? Metal, plastic? I don't know. They are loud. They start squishing and crunching together in mortal combat. It sounded like I was walking on gravel, like I was chewing glass. Because there were two words I'd failed to take into consideration when purchasing these pants. Chub rub. Some of you are like, I don't know what that is. Oh, bless your heart. Chub rub is when your thighs rub together when you walk. It's a thing. It's painful. They got lotions for it. Somebody sent me a recipe for a chub rub lotion. I didn't know. We even have our own club if you want to join us, called the Chub Rub Club. We're having t-shirts made, Chub Rub Club, where thigh gap is for losers. If it's really bad, you join Chub Rubbers Anonymous. My name is Kelly Swanson. It's been 30 days since my last rash. My rock bottom happened on Sunday morning in church when I wore corduroys. They asked me to sing the solo, and the friction caused sparks. They had to put me out in the baptismal pole. Give her a token, Frank. I'm standing in that bathroom. It wasn't funny in this moment. I'm like, what am I going to do? I got nothing to change into except my yoga pants that I'd worn over, that I wear everywhere, except yoga. I got 25 pair of yoga pants. I never walked in the door, but now I can, see. Something slipped out of place. So I'm standing in that bathroom. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't. I paid a lot of money to be at this event. I got to go. So I said, okay, Kelly, you're going to be resourceful. You're just going to stand in the back and just let everybody walk by you. You're going to wave. Everything will be fine. So next thing you know, I'm standing in the doorway of that ballroom. I'm looking in. Everybody's wearing khakis and faded floral shirts because I did not get the memo that said dress is casual, theme is Hawaiian tropic. I'm standing at the door looking like Elvis. The later years. I see a chair about 4 feet away. I said, Kelly, just get to that chair. That's all you got to do. Get to that chair right there, sit in the back of the room, and then just let people come to you. It'll be fine. It's only about 4 or 5 feet to get to that chair, but I'm going to tell you what, that's a long 4 or 5 feet when you got to get there without your thighs touching. And look natural. And every once in a while, a little would squeak out. But it's okay. I pretended like it was my ringtone. So it'd be like, hello. Kelly Swanson. I finally got to that chair, losing a couple of sequins along the way. And I sit down and I was sweating. I was out of breath, but I had made it just in time. Just in time to see the sign on the table. This said reserved for staff. And little Miss Cute Thing beside me's tapping me on the shoulder. She's all like, we got a table up front for you. I was like, of course you do. Like 10, 15 tables up to the front, I gotta go. And I'm sitting there and I'm having a moment. And this voice in my head is just shouting at me louder than anything. It's like, get out of here. Run. Walk, run. You don't belong in this room. You're not good enough. You look foolish. You look silly. You're an idiot. You don't belong. These are the big players. These aren't the people that are like you. You don't belong here. Get out. I've been telling you that your whole life. Nobody cares. And then there's that other voice that's getting loud, especially as I'm rounding on 50. She is raring up. And she's like, that's how you're going to play this. She says, you're going to write a story that says you failed before you've even started. You're going to get out there and you're going to tell all these people all over the world to embrace what makes them unique. And then you don't have the courage to do it yourself. Makes you a fake, makes you a fraud. You need to walk your own talk. You're the one who says this doesn't matter. Honor your gifts. What's the worst that could happen? Who knows? You may have a funny story out of it. You will, not tonight. Because if you leave this room, you're going to leave every single room from here on out. Whatever story you write, your brain obeys. It doesn't know the difference. And so in that moment, I believed her. And I stood up, I took a deep breath, and I said, thighs, do your thing. And I began to march. I marched with emphasis. I pounded my thighs together on purpose. I stopped at every table. I shook hands. Sequins were jumping ship left and right. I'd stop. People go, where's that noise coming from? I was like, it's coming from my thighs. Apparently down there, the party's already started. I was the first one on that dance floor. I didn't care. I was dancing. That light was hitting my pants. I looked like a strobe light. People started gathering around me. They were laughing. They were pointing. They were high-fiving me. They were buying me drinks. They were like, chub rub girl. They were sharing their stories. And everybody had a quirky, weird story just like me. Nobody felt perfect. Nobody felt good enough. Even these important people were just like me, only in a different way. And I'm sure there were people around the outskirts who were still smirking, pointing, bless her hearting. But that's okay. Because in this moment, from here on out, it wasn't my problem anymore. It was theirs. Because I was chub rub girl. I made so many friends that night. I walked out with a stack of business cards. People who wanted to book me and didn't even know what I spoke about. People who gathered the sequins off the floor and put them in a little baggie for me to take home. I get to the doorway, I'm about to leave, and there's one agent standing in the doorway. He's a big time agent, eats speakers like me for breakfast. I thought, oh great, here's my wet blanket. Right here. Here's every negative voice rolled into one. But he didn't. He pulled out his card. He said, I want you to call me tomorrow. I want to talk to you about working together. Got a TV show. And we've been looking, and I quote, we've been looking for somebody just like you. Chub rub, he said. That's hilarious. And he shuffled off. And in that moment, I'm standing there having a moment just as I am today, and maybe just as you are too. I'm standing there in that moment realizing that everything that had made me weird, that had made me different, had become the things that had made me great. The things that I had been hiding were the things that the world wanted most. They didn't need me to be perfect. They just wanted me to be pink. I see, I believe, I do. Nothing's going to happen to us. It's not going to be handed to us on a silver platter. We got to go out there and go after it. We got to see, believe, do, and then I just trust the cape. And my son was 6 years old. He was missing both front teeth. His hair was crooked where he had cut it. He's in the same cowboy boots he'd had on for weeks. He comes tearing down the hall faster than the wind, and he's wearing his favorite cape. He's made from a sheet and a safety pin. He climbs on top of that kitchen chair. He throws his arms out wide and says, "Mama, today I'm Superman, and now I'm gonna fly." And I shook my head. Me, the motivational speaker. I shook my head and told him for the 100th time that day that we don't climb on furniture. You know that it's not safe. And he looked me in the eyes with this wisdom words can't weigh. And he said, "Mama, sometimes there are days when you've just got to trust your cape." And he tore off down the hall faster than the wind, and his little words dove into my heart over and over again. For once again, that boy taught me what books and degrees never could. That life can't always be lived in the ought tos, musts, and shoulds. You can work and you can prepare, and we'll learn from every mistake we've made. But at some point, you're going to stand on that cliff and you've just got to jump and simply trust your cape. Knowing that you might fall, not knowing where you'll land, not knowing is anybody going to be waiting to catch you with outstretched hand. But if you miss your mark, I promise you won't care. For I believe you will have already found it while you were flying in midair. And now my son's outgrown those cartoons, his boots many times replaced. But I pray no matter what, he'll still hold on to that cape. Yeah. I will see, I will believe, I will do. But after that, I'm going to simply trust my cape. And hopefully, so will you. I'm Kelly Swanson. It's nice to meet you.